Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studios, where I'm joined by Claire Buchanan, Chief Commercial Officer at Bridgeworks. Claire, hi.
Good morning.
Big data is a buzzword. What are the biggest challenges we face when trying to get the best out of big data?
I think the buzz in big data is rapidly disappearing. If we listen to Gartner, for example, they will tell you that we've already reached the peak of inflated expectation and we are running down the curve or the trough of disillusionment. In reality, big data is really about four key pillars. We're talking about volume, being able to have huge amounts of data. We're talking about veracity, which is the freshness of data, and also about the variety of data, being able to cover multiple different markets, for example. But crucially, it's also about velocity, the speed of being able to gather that data and get it back to where it's going to be analysed as quickly as is possible.
You've highlighted the importance of speed in your four V's there. Can you give me some examples of that?
Yeah, just imagine you're a CIO and you have spent multiple millions or multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars investing in your big data strategy. You've assimilated the data, you've prepared it, and now you're ready to hit the button. And you have data coming in from around the world into the data center to do the analysis. And then you find that that data isn't getting there quickly enough. You're now going to have to face some very difficult decisions. You're going to have to decide how much volume you're actually going to bring in, what your systems can actually handle. You're going to have to decide on the freshness of the data. Are you going to compromise on that? So the ability to get huge amounts of data very quickly across the world's wide area infrastructures is absolutely key and paramount to any CIO who wants to have a successful big data project.
So what's the problem? I mean, bigger data, bigger bandwidth.
That's what you would think, Dan, but I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions that there is out there. I think probably the best way for me to explain this is to give you a metaphor. I need to send you 10 letters, but the way I have to send them is one by one. So I send you a letter, you receive it, you sign for it, I get acknowledgement that you've signed for it, and now I send you the second one. And I keep going around this circle until I've sent you the 10 letters. This all takes huge amounts of time. Well, that is exactly how TCP/IP works today as we are trying to send data over the world's wide area networks.
Have you got an example of that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a large insurance company based in North America who had been sold dark fiber pipes. That's really fast pipes. And they had a problem. They were trying to do cross-site replication and it wasn't working and they couldn't get the performance. They called us really as a last resort, and we spoke to them about the problem, and really they had an optimum solution with dark fiber. It's the fastest pipe you can buy. When we looked at it, they had some real issues with the data going backwards and forwards. So without going into too much detail, using the WAN Rocket product, which we installed very quickly, literally 10 minutes, we solved the problem. And the customer was able to rip out the expensive dark fiber pipes and go back to using their existing 10 gig pipes. So the value for them was enormous. Not only did they remove excessive cost, but they also de-risked their business and allowed their business to function in the way that they had envisaged from the start.
Let's talk about Bridgeworks. What can you do for your clients regarding big data?
Well, if you're the CIO, your real problem is latency. At the end of the day, there is a data deluge, and somehow you have got to be able to, in an innovative way, be able to manage that data being moved around the globe. So let me give you an example. Let me take this away from IT. I often sit in traffic jams on motorways or interstates, and I sit there with holding my steering wheel, knowing I have to be somewhere really quickly and I cannot get there, and I move 10 meters and I stop, and I move 10 meters and I stop. Well, there is a way to solve that problem, and we all know what that is. You put in variable speed limits, and you put in traffic lights to control the flow of cars coming onto those interstates. That's exactly what we do at Bridgeworks. We control the performance and the speed of the data so that we know that it is constant and it is constantly performing over the bandwidth that CIOs have purchased.
One thing that concerns businesses is security. How can you guarantee security with your systems?
Everybody is thinking about security. It's probably one of the hottest topics, and specifically around big data, where we have to move data across wide area networks. The way that Bridgeworks have architected its software is we do not touch a customer's data. We simply pick it up and move it. Now, we all know that for security of data in flight as it moves, what we want to be able to do is encrypt that data. But CIOs have a challenge with that, because when you encrypt data, you actually put overhead, and it means that it slows that data in flight down even more. Because of the way that Bridgeworks has architected its technology and not touching that data, we can transport data that is encrypted at the same acceleration as everything else. From an encryption standpoint, we are as secure as the customer's encryption. But for added security, our customers also can layer on something called IPsec, which gives them a secondary level of security as they transmit their data across the world's wide area networks.
Now, big data is clearly getting bigger and bigger. What trends are you seeing over the coming years, do you think?
I believe that the data deluge is just set to continue. All of the analysts will tell you that we're going to reach something like 40 zettabytes by 2020.
Sounds a lot.
It's an incomprehensible number. But what that really means at the end of the day is that CIOs are going to constantly be required to innovate and to look at smarter ways of doing things, to look at small companies like Bridgeworks who really have taken a problem and flipped it on its head. Small companies are where the innovation comes from, rather than the large companies who acquire innovation. So my belief is that this data movement, this data transport issue is set to increase, whether it's for big data, which we're discussing today, or it's for the Internet of Things, or for IT business service continuity. At the end of the day, the only way that these strategies are going to be successful is for customers to find a way that they can move their data as fast as they need it, so that they can have the data where they need it, when they need it. You know, I kind of go to back to my car thing. You know, I love cars. If I had a Bugatti Veyron and I was driving it through London, I would probably not be able to get it out of second gear. Why would I have a performance car that I can't get out of second gear? I need to find a way to be able to get to sixth gear in that Bugatti Veyron. Well, that's really what Bridgeworks has done with the ability to move data over long distances and to remove the effects of latency.
Claire Buchanan, many thanks.
Thank you.